Parliament is set to open investigations into circumstances leading to the arrest of a 36-year-old man who confessed he wanted to kill President Mahama. This comes after an Accra Circuit Court found him guilty of a second-degree felony. He has since been sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. Now, this also follows a continued violence in Bimbilla Township, where young men are found holding guns and using them irresponsibly. Concerns are, whose duty is it to monitor the issuance and responsible use of these guns? How safe are we as a country if small arms have become so easy to come by, so much so that people seen as insane can also have access to these objects? This is today's big story with me, Aishi Bryan. Unrepentant, as he showed no sign of remorse when he was ushered in by security personnel. That's a 36-year-old man. Now, the man was charged with possession of firearms without lawful excuse, contrary to Section 11 of the NRCD 1972, but pleaded not guilty. Ironically, he confessed to the court that he had indeed wanted to kill the president. Chairman of Parliament's Committee on the Interior, Fritz Baffo, says the committee will meet over the matter. We'll be getting him over the line to tell us what his committee will be considering in this investigation. We'll also gauge the mood of the security analyst, Dr. Kwesi Enin, of what this means to us. In fact, a while ago, the mother of this young man confessed the man is insane. But inside the court, where the judge pronounced him pronounced 10 years imprisonment for this guy, a lawyer called his attention that he should call for a psychological test of this young man, but which the judge overruled. Now we have a constitutional lawyer on the phone to tell us more. Stephen Asari, good evening. Many thanks for your time.
Good evening.
We appreciate your time on today's big story. Now, let's look at this gentleman who's just been sentenced 10 years in prison. A while ago, his mother was saying that the guy is insane. I remember that in the court, a lawyer also called the attention of the judge to actually call for psychological test on this guy, which the judge overruled. What does the law say about these things?
Well, you know, the applicable law will be Section 133 of the Criminal Procedure Act. And that requires, again, whenever there's evidence suggesting that the person is incompetent to defend himself or even understand the charges brought against him, to immediately order a psychiatric evaluation and examination of the person, and then subsequently use that medical evidence into other judicial decisions that are made. So to the extent that the guy was rambling, which is suggestive of lack of competence, I believe the judge probably erred in not ordering that psychological evaluation.
Let's look at the guy once again. This is a guy who said he feels he should be president. In fact, when the late President Mills died, he thought he was going to be president. Then President Mahama took up the mantle. So he feels that he should become president, and that's why he wants to kill the president. He also explained that he's been to democratic states, or some democratic states, including Libya, and he feels that development there is not as what we are seeing in Ghana, and that is why he feels that he should just end it for the president. Would you say such a person is sane to be tried?
Well, you know, whether he's sane or not, it's a different question. But the important question is, what has he been charged with? He's charged with unlawful possession of firearms. And if you are charged with unlawful possession of firearms, and you come and you start telling stories about Libya and President Mills and President Mahama, these are all interesting, but are entirely irrelevant to what he is charged with. So if those things that he said are the basis for the guilt pronouncement that the judge made, then the judge erred completely as a matter of law, because the evidence that is relevant to guilt would have been evidence about whether or not he unlawfully possessed firearms. Unless and until we have evidence on those things, it is premature to pronounce him guilty just because he's talking about milk and media. These are ramblings.
Now he's been sentenced 10 years for second-degree felony.
Yes, and that will also be against the Constitution, because in Article 19, the Constitution guarantees procedural due process. Before you can deny anyone their liberty, and you are talking about 10 years in jail, several things must happen. The most important thing is that whoever you are going to deny that liberty must be given adequate time and facilities to prepare for his defense. Here, the trial was done at what I call an 15-fold stage, from arrest, investigation, information, plea, trial, and sentencing. That's 48 hours. And in 48 hours, we decided to exhaustively examine the facts, and we know enough to send the guy to prison for 10 years. That violates the procedural due process. Second, the guy needs fair hearing. And because this is a felony charge, at the minimum, two things must happen for fair hearing to occur. One, the person must be represented by a competent attorney.
Right.
And two, the person must have an opportunity to cross-examine those who are accusing him. He was not represented by an attorney. He didn't have any opportunity to cross-examine his accusers. Right. In fact, his accusers did not present any evidence at all. Right. No evidence. This is just what we call the plea stage. It's very early. It's so early that any attempt to have sent him to jail as the judge did is previously in error and what I'll call hate-making weak. This is just weak. This decision will be set aside on appeal. It doesn't mean anything. The judge completely dropped the ball on this one.
Well, the guy has pleaded not guilty. So is there anything that could be done about it, like appeal or something?
Yeah, obviously, it's an appeal. An appeal will be put in place. When we say the guy has pleaded not guilty, I want us to be very careful because he pleaded not guilty. Did he plead not guilty or guilty?
And so just a while ago, we heard the mother of the boy speaking, and she has confirmed that the boy is insane. What do we do about this?
What did he do? Of course, they can file an appeal. That's something. An appeal must be filed immediately. And the basis of the appeal will be one, procedural due process was violated, Article 19. The guy was not given time and facilities to prepare for his defense. There was no fair hearing. The accused did not understand the nature of the offense. The accused was not presumed innocent. Two, the accused did not confess to Section 192, did not confess to violate Section 192 or NRCD 9. What he did was to ramble about Libya, about milk, about Bahama, but none of those ramblings go to the issue of whether or not he violated Section 192 or NRCD 9. Third, the circumstances leading to the confession itself are questionable. I'm told that an investigator came to court to ask for more time. The accused pleaded not guilty, and the judge started asking the accused questions. It was based on this question that the accused started rambling, and then based on that rambling, the judge just pronounced him guilty. So that's procedurally incorrect. That's procedurally flawed. And then fourth, the competence of the accused, as I've explained on Section 133, where there are questions as to the accused competence, the trial must stop. The accused must be referred to a psychiatric unit for evaluation. And based on the evaluation, the judge will then continue the trial. The accused can continue to the trial. None of these things happen. So in short, this this is a situation where the judge has rushed to judgment and where it makes it, where the case will be appealed and where on appeal the decision will be reversed.
Well, I'll have you hold. I'll have you hold for a minute because Dr. Kwesi Enin is also on the other line. Good evening, Doc. Many thanks for your time.
Good evening.
Just last week, we were worried about some amount of ammunition that were smuggled into this country. We're still struggling with Bimbila as well, where there's curfew because some people have decided to trade gunshots at each other. Today, a 36-year-old man has been imprisoned for 10 years for possessing a gun, wanting to kill the president. When at all should we expect an end to the proliferation of small arms in this country?
No, we shouldn't and we can't, and there will never be an end, because we have a love relationship with guns in this country. There are 16 different contradictory, self-undermining regulations governing small arms and light weapons in this country. Thirdly, there's a certain social acceptability around guns in this country, and precisely also because people feel insecure. There's a certain warped analysis that if I get a gun for myself, I will be safe. Fourthly is the issue of enforcement. Since 1981, between 1991 and 2013, almost about 2.4 million guns have been legally registered in this country. Out of those numbers,
Hello, Dr. Enin. You're still on air.
One needs to re-register guns. In 2013, just about 2,000 of were registered. So our ability to control our own laws and to enforce the laws relating to small arms is just non-existent. So the proliferation will continue. We live in a dangerous neighborhood, and we don't seem to be able to have a better grasp of the complexity of the situations around us. So I think it would be quite naive to think that people will stop demanding guns and having access to these guns.
We know there are people who are supposed to ensure or issue licenses for these guns and also ensure the responsible use for these guns. How do we begin to hold these people responsible or accountable, beginning with the Interior Ministry?
That's a fairly tough question. I think we can start with the Police Firearms Bureau and the Ghana National Commission on Small Arms. The Police Firearms Bureau basically registers all these guns in this country and should ensure that these guns are re-registered on an annual basis. So I think a starting point will be equipping, authorizing, improving the capacity of the Police Firearms Bureau to actually go after the people who have registered these guns. Now the question is whether the addresses and the identities that have been used to register can be traced. So as I said, in 2013, only 2,314 guns were re-registered in this country, out of a total of 1.2 million that had been registered over the past 3 years. So that is one. Number two is that I think we need to get the National Commission on Small Arms up and running. We should equip it. We should give it the logistics, the money, the training, and all the support that is necessary. Because look, we have become a major exporter of guns to other parts of this sub-region.
Right.
And I think we need to move beyond this self-perception of ourselves as necessarily peaceful, hospitable, and loving people.
Right.
I think this particular case shows that it is easy to get access to unregistered guns. And that even makes this case more dangerous. Where did the gun come from?
Right.
Who gave it to him? And I think we need to look at the counterfactual. The fact that he acted as mad or is mad, that is what any person who wants to commit such a dastardly act will do.
Right.
Look for a person who is crazy enough but fairly rational enough also to act, but then not be able to praise those who recruited it. This is what we call in our kind of business a rational kind of madness.
Right. Doc, I keep saying none of us is safe as far as these things are concerned. And even the fact that people are suggesting that that is this old young man, it's insane. And his mother has come to confirm whether it's true or not, we do not know. So now if it happens that an insane person can even have access to such a dangerous object, then I repeat the question, how safe are we?
Well, we are safe in as much as we want it to be. But if you let me come back to this question of the possible insanity of this character.
Right.
My argument is very simple. If you want to commit such a crime with an unregistered gun, you look for somebody who may not be 100% correct, supposedly, but is rational and sane enough to understand the crime that he or she is expected to commit.
Right.
Okay, so the angles that are coming in now are considerably more disturbing than probably what we knew yesterday. And it looks to me as if the most critical questions are not being asked. This man just didn't get an unregistered gun. Someone somewhere gave it to him. I'm sure he has a mobile phone. Has the phone been seized and then all the calls he's made over the past 3 to 6 months, downloaded, the people tracked down who their networks are and who they've also been talking to? It looks to me as if we think he's been put in prison. I can hear the legal analyst in your room, sort of bring the process apart. I agree with him. But putting him away is just not enough. There are way too many loose ends. And in a dangerous neighborhood like ours, we just cannot accept that this is the end of the story. This is actually the beginning of the story.
If this is the beginning of the story, then how do we check it? Because all of us are unsafe and unprotected.
Well, we are unsafe. Because if we have about 2.4 million guns running around this country, in which we don't know where most of them are, and they are easy to get access to, and a supposedly mad person can get access to a pistol, then of course we are terribly unsafe. The question is, how do we collectively collaborate, share information to ensure that those who want to hurt us can be apprehended in time? And I think what happened in that church, an ordinary citizen seeing somebody fidgeting, having a gun on him, then makes a discreet approach to the bureaucrats who come and this person. The question is, what kind of responses or offers are we getting from the professional bureaucratic agencies to say, guys, security is a shared responsibility. We need your help. We need the information. Please help us get this job done. I think. Yeah.
I'll have you hold because I have the chairman for the Interior Committee of Parliament who says they will open investigations into this matter. Let's speak with him. Honorable Fritz Baffo, thanks for your time on today's big story. Hello, Honorable. Hello, Honorable Fritz Baffo. You are on today's big story. I think we lost him. We'll go back to Dr. Enin. Dr. Enin, we're talking about how all of us can be responsible enough and understand that this is a collective responsibility.
But I mean, this thing is that the way we treat this country is that it's secret, confidential, for your eyes only. The type of threat that we are seeing right now goes beyond the not cheap, but there will always be a need for self. And I think need to encourage others to say, look, other in this country so that we not continue to develop proof our life and our livelihood. I don't think we have enough uniform men and women. I think we need to have laboratory and staff so that they can provide the frontline information that we need to be able to respond as quickly as possible.
And in all of these, I think the Interior Ministry has a lot of work to do. How effective or efficient or proactive even have they been over the years?
Well, I think the Interior Ministry has this rather wide and difficult remit. I mean, it controls the police service, it licenses private security companies, it has supervisory role over the National Commission on Small Arms. It also issues licenses to the companies that import both Class A and Class B guns into this country and their ammunition. Okay, so the question is that if, let us zoom down the conversation to small arms per se, you would notice that it's only the Minister of the Interior who can issue licenses or give dispensations for companies to import guns into this country
exactly.
and ammunition. And I think it would be quite useful in terms of how complicated the situation is becoming, to have some committee of technical experts who support the minister or the ministry, in getting some of these things done. But certainly, the ministry is crucial and important in terms of contributing or leading the charge to protecting all of us in the country. We cannot, under any circumstance, overlook what that ministry does. And that is why it is key that those who work in that ministry, together with the agencies that they supervise, must, I think, initiate a more collaborative approach, to the way that security is understood and is handled in this country. That is the only way to ensure that living in the neighborhood that we live in, that we can get information on time and in the kind of time-sensitive manner that's necessary. You see, because there are way too many things happening. If you look at the old Fadama, when they destroyed those houses because they blocked the waterway.
Right.
And the subsequent demonstrations and the near closure of certain parts of Accra because of this violent demonstration, that took the security agents totally unaware.
Obviously, the Interior Minister or Ministry has a huge task, and they must be up to that task. Many thanks to Dr. Kwesi Enin. We really appreciate your time. Now, on the other phone lines is Honorable Fritz Baffour. He's chairman of the Interior Committee of Parliament. Good evening. Many thanks for your time. Honorable Baffour, you are on today's big story, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Now, your committee is set to meet over this issue regarding the 36 young man who's been given 10 years in prison. What will you be considering in your investigations?
You see, the thing is that it's not that we've made a decision yet. On Thursday, we're having a meeting on other things, and we're going to bring it up so that we find the way forward. But it is very disturbing. And it's something that I think we should look at very, 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 very carefully. The thing is that we've been very lax in terms of the security of our VIPs or people in positions. I think that Ghanaians tend to be a little circumspect when it comes down to giving privileges to certain people. We sort of resent it, but it is necessary when you actually put somebody in a position of trust. You also have to protect that person, and I think that has been the problem. So we've been very laid back about looking after our people in positions of trust and in political positions. What happened could happen anywhere in the world.
Right.
We have the syndrome called the lone wolf syndrome, where somebody will be maybe slightly deranged or maybe has a beef, will get up and do something without thinking about it, and it could create mayhem. We've had a series of political assassinations over the past few centuries. I mean, it's been with mankind since time begun. And so we have to be very careful about our security.
Honorable, it seems to me that having a gun or possessing a gun these days is just like walking into a supermarket and picking items on the shelves. I mean,
yes,
how does your committee relate to the Ministry of the Interior to ensure that we issue the right licenses, and after issuing, we monitor the responsible use of these objects?
Well, Ghana we just ratified the Arms Trade Treaty, which is an instrument for checking arms sales and the handling of arms in various countries. But we've been unfortunate in West Africa. We've had civil wars in Ivory Coast, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Liberia and Sierra Leone, and the sub-regions are washed with arms. And because we have porous borders for many reasons, some of the arms have found their way into Ghana unlicensed and undocumented, and that is creating a problem for us. We also have artisanal gun makers or ammunition makers in the country who are unlicensed, and there is a need for guns by hunters and things like that, and they don't normally go through the processes. And so, therefore, we have a very tenuous security situation when it comes to the proliferation of arms in Ghana. And it's something that we really have to work at. But it also relies very much on the ability of the public to come out and support this disarming of the civil populace. People we've tried several schemes. There was an amnesty scheme in the Upper East, in the Boku area, where we've had internecine warfare for quite a time. But then it didn't work. We tried to do the buyback scheme, and that didn't work. So we have to look at new, initiatives. To be able to reduce
new strategies.
The people, yeah.
We'll be looking out for the outcome of this investigation by your committee in Parliament. Many thanks for your time on today's big story. In the studio is Afre Nyama, who was in court to witness the prosecution of this man. What latest do you have on this man?
Well, we've been speaking to the mother, One Efia Japoma, and what she tells us is that, of course, her son has had a mental problem for the past 2 years, and this is something that the family, in fact, have tried to seek medical attention for him, and once again, this has been for the past 2 years, and that's been unsuccessful. They've gone to some prayer camps, a number of medical facilities, but the problem still persists. I'm talking about the mental problem. And she said she received the news with shock that the circuit court convicted her son for 10 years. In fact,
but did she know where the gentleman had the gun, or is she aware that he's in possession of any gun? What
she says directly related to this whole story about his attempt to kill President Mahama is that this conversation has come up before. In fact, her son brought it up at a certain point, and she was shocked. She asked him, why would you want to kill your president? But then, of course, she knew that this had everything to do with his mental problem. She says that she has a heart problem, and this news coming in is a great shock to her, the entire family, in fact, and she fears that it will compound her heart condition.
But the security analyst has told us just now that these are some of the tricks these people employ. Like they will pose as not being sane, but they are also sane in there because they have an agenda. What do you think?
Well, I've spoken to some of the state prosecutors involved in this matter, and in fact, after the court delivered its verdict, I spoke to some state attorneys at the Attorney General's Department. The point they are making is that if you look at some of these assassination cases worldwide in recent times and in the past, what you realize is that most of the time, if it is indeed a case that, for example, someone has employed or recruited this man to perpetuate this act, what they'll do is that they'll look for someone who really has nothing to lose, someone with a mental problem, someone, for example, a drunkard, someone with no children, someone who at the end of the day, essentially, when it's arrested, when it goes bad, will not have much to lose, really.
Many thanks to you, Afre Nyama, for that. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. We've been talking about the 36-year-old gentleman who's now going into prison for 10 years because he wanted to kill the president. Now, we'll be reporting you on other issues that unfold, but we'll be back shortly with Joy News Interactive.